real solutions to money, relationships, wellness, and more. Shine a light onto your day and into your life. Power Your Life with Dr. Joanne White.
Good evening and welcome to Power Your Life. I'm your host, Joanne White. It's 2014 and it's a brand new year and a grand new start. Have you made your resolutions? Whether it's to cut down on food intake, exercise more, or go to the doctor more, we all have them. But how do we stick to them well into the new year? Dr. Jen Caudle, a board-certified family medicine physician, joins me now with some practical advice for us. Dr. Caudle, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So you have some wonderful tips. You practice medicine, and you certainly see a lot of people who have complaints about what they didn't do and what they need to do, right?
Right.
So what are some of your ideas that can actually help people have that fresh new start for the new year?
Well, first of all, I should say Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
It's
Thank you. Yeah, we have to do that. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everyone. I think one of the most important first steps that we can do is to make New Year's resolutions. You know, there's a lot of talk about it, but it's funny, I've talked to a lot of people I know, and many people actually don't make New Year's resolutions. I think it's important. Make them. Set some goals for this year, and I think it's really important to write them down. But one of the first resolutions I think that we can all maybe think about is our body, our health, and certainly our weight and what we take in and how much exercise we do.
You know, I think that's so important. And oftentimes people make resolutions, but they don't keep to them.
That's so true.
So maybe it's just talking about making goals that you really want to carry out through the year, and maybe sometimes short-term goals versus I'm going to do a whole year of whatever. Little steps sometimes get us there better.
Absolutely, the manageable sizes. When it comes to exercise, I have a lot of patients who want to exercise in the new year, and that's a good thing. We know that obesity is an epidemic in this country. Heart disease is one of the leading causes of death in the U.S. So exercise is paramount to all of us. But for a lot of people, you know, the idea of going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week is maybe not the most realistic, especially if you've been sitting on the couch for the last year.
So forget about being a couch potato, folks, and really decide to, and you know, you can move in your chair. We can move at our desk. We can take a walk, take a break from whatever we're doing.
Well, that's some of the things that I recommend. Start small. I call them baby steps, and I mean literally steps. First of all, park far away from your house or from the grocery store. Get some extra steps in. Take the stairs. Everybody's always heard this, but it's important to reinforce it. A friend of mine actually got a pedometer for Christmas, and she's been marking her steps like you wouldn't believe. That can be a really great motivator. But little baby small steps. Work out with friends, do activities with friends, and find things that you like to do.
You know, I think that's wonderful, Dr. Caudle. I also think working out with your family.
Yes,
decide to take walks with your family, take walks after dinner, bicycle riding, make some of those activities, fun activities that have exercise
in them. And it doesn't then feel like exercise. It feels like an outing with the family or with friends. And
it's building that family cohesion at the same time.
It really is. And I think you really brought up a really great point where sometimes these goals seem so lofty. Start to exercise, people say, well, where do I start? And I think these are really small, manageable steps that people can say, okay, well, I'll walk a little bit more. Maybe the family will go for a bike ride once a week and we'll start doing that, or we'll go for a walk around the neighborhood. So those are small things for exercising I think can be very helpful.
And what about healthy eating? How does that fit into it?
Healthy eating, I mean, part of our health, and we're talking about obesity, talking about heart disease and health, exercise is a big part, but what we put in our bodies is equally as important. And you know, I often say to my patients, you know, if it tastes really, really good, it's probably not that healthy for you. I think one of the things that we can do nowadays is really pay attention to what we're putting in our mouth. Count those calories.
But you know what? Yes. I think eating healthy, you get accustomed to it, and it begins to taste good. Carrots are delicious. There are some wonderful greens that are delicious, and you can teach yourself or train yourself to really get accustomed to it and really like it.
And you're absolutely right, and that's what our goal is. Our goal is to make those small changes that will get us to a lifestyle that we're more accustomed to and that become more palatable. And you know, again, I like to start where a lot of my patients are, where a lot of people are that I meet. As a family practitioner, I see everybody every day. And let's say I speak with a patient who eats donuts 3 or 4 days a week for breakfast. Well, maybe that's not ideal. But maybe what you do is you say, okay, I have donuts 4 days a week. Let me start by only having them 2 or 3 times a week. even small changes like that can make a big difference. And cooking at home can be helpful.
Maybe just a half a donut.
Maybe just a half. You're so ambitious. I love it. I love the ambitiousness. Yes. Or if you can do it, go to a half a donut. So, but that's what we talk about.
Now, what would happen if all your patients were following this advice and they didn't need a doctor anymore? How would you feel?
No, everybody actually needs a doctor. And you know, I have a lot of patients that have been for years. They've gone for years without going to a doctor. They finally come in, maybe because they're having surgery or something else brings them in. And I say, well, gosh, you haven't been to the doctor in years. You know, why not? They say, well, I haven't been sick. I haven't needed one. But that's a myth, okay? Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you haven't been sick because that's what we want. But the truth is that even if you're well, you still need to go to the doctor at least once a year.
You know, I think that's so important because often there are conditions or even diseases that go undetected. You may feel great, but it's, like you said, it's really important to have that annual checkup.
And
so thanks for that.
Not only for that reason, but also for, remember, you still need immunizations. Shots are not just for kids. As an adult, there's a pneumonia shot, the shingles shot, the tetanus shot. There's immunizations that you need as well as screening things like mammograms, colonoscopies, and blood work as well. So in addition to finding things that you may not know are there, we also need to keep everyone up on their preventative care. So go to the doctor. Even if you feel well, you still got to go.
Right, and I totally agree. And it's important to make those changes because you feel differently, more empowered, and again, as you said, we're into 2014, so take that first step, those baby steps, and move forward and start feeling good about yourself.
Right, absolutely. And you know, the other thing that I want to mention is the importance of the mind, body, spirit, you know, combination. As a family doctor, one thing I've learned, if I haven't learned anything else, which I have, but one thing I know is that how your body acts and your health in your body often depends on your mind.
You know, that's so true. Thank you so much, Dr. Caudle. Your mind and your body work so much together in tandem, so it's really very important. Coming up on Power Your Life, the key ways to raise a child with high self-esteem, plus 50 is the new 50, advice for women on reaching middle age, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Power Your Life. Next, we're talking about building children's self-esteem and improving their communication skills. Internationally acclaimed and best-selling author Debbie Mancini joins me now to talk about helping parents, grandparents, and their children realize their potential. Thank you, Debbie, for being here tonight.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you, too. It started out well.
Good. I hope it continues with everybody. Yes. And one of the ways to really help children, whether it's your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, whomever, your own kids, is to really help them with self-esteem. What do parents need to do to make that happen, to help build the self-esteem in their kids?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's best to recognize the difference between high ego and high self-esteem. High ego comes at someone else's expense. High self-esteem is a child who has the ability to soar and take people with them and embrace them. And
you know, I think that's important not just for kids. I think that's important for all of us, for adults too, because it's get out of your ego, but really get into helping others and build your self-esteem. Thanks for that.
Exactly. You're welcome. And you know, it does make people more comfortable around you because you're not all about yourself. And doors open, things happen so much easier. You know this, you're the queen of it. Doors just open because you embrace everyone along the way. If we teach our children to do that from the get-go, how much better will their lives be?
You know, it's so important too because it doesn't take that much to give back, and it's so important to be able to teach your children, as you say. You have this book, and I have this book. I have this book at home. Debbie gave this to me some time ago, and it's wonderful because it's really, the book is interactive too. Kids can actually work with their parents and create within the book. So it's wonderful, and there are wonderful opportunities for growth and building self-esteem and language and communication skills, right?
Yes, and I think the biggest thing is, in order to help your children, you have to know what's in their head and in their heart. So you have to teach them healthy ways to express themselves. And so that's the gist of the book. It was designed to do that. So something very simple, like taking their name and doing an acrostic poem.
Oh, I love that.
That will tell you what they're thinking about themselves. Debbie with a D. If I say dynamite, no, you're not going to have to worry about that kid's self-esteem. If I say dorky,
that's a problem.
Gives you a good clue.
Right. And you know what? I think it's also important to recognize that as you're building the self-esteem and teaching the values, that how you're communicating to them yourself is important. If you allow your kids to speak to you and say, you know what, tell me what's going on in your mind, let me know, rather than kind of judging them, and so that they don't come to you with their problems or with concerns. And that's something that you're an expert on.
Thank you. And you said it right there, and it warmed my heart. No judging.
Right.
You know, as parents, we want to say, no, you know, but let them allow themselves to express themselves and work with that. Continue to write with them. Journaling is a beautiful thing. We don't need to spend a lot of time talking about it, but you know, at the dollar store, you can pick up very inexpensive journals. You can,
right, they're beautiful.
Yes, or buy plain ones and decorate them yourselves. Joanne, that is the best thing. Make it. Well, yes,
they could make it.
Well, and the right pen makes it ceremonial. It makes it something. It gives it validation. It gives it a good,
So you talk about spending time, and certainly journaling with your kid is a way to really help build self-esteem, but it also shows them that they're valued and you're willing to take that time. What else can parents and grandparents do to build self-esteem and to spend time with them?
Get their input. It doesn't matter what age they are. Ask them, how do you think it would be good to do this? And do what they suggest, no matter how minute it is. Validate it. You know, after the holidays, we all have gifts that we got that we can't use, or we don't quite like, or it doesn't fit, gift cards that we want to go spend. Wouldn't it be a wonderful thing to take your child and say, why don't you take that instead, and let's bring it to a shelter for children?
You know, that's so essential, because again, we're teaching values, we're teaching children to really recognize the value of giving and caring for other people, and that's so important. I love what you said about listening to your kids and really letting them express themselves, because they're so precious, and if you shut them down, what happens?
They stay shut down, and years of therapy to open them back up again.
Right, which we don't need to have.
We don't want that. No, we just want them to know that A, what they have to say is important, and B, that you really do care about it, and C, you're going to implement it, no matter how. I think, I do a lot of parent coaching, and I think a lot of times parents make it more difficult than it really is. And what I tell parents who are professionals, they've been trained at a particular job, they haven't been trained at parenting, and so I give them a good visual. When you get up and get dressed in the morning, you put on your business suit and you go do your business. When you come home, what do? You know, have a fun smock and take off your business suit, put that on, and get on the floor and play. You're in a role.
Right. And you know, having fun with your kids, any activity, and you and I were talking about this beforehand, any activity can be construed as educational, as you say, you're the expert, and also to have fun. And your kids appreciate what you're doing and that time that's spent with them so much more.
Exactly. And you're showing by example.
Right.
You know, and that playtime is, as you say, educational. You know, play therapy. You can learn so much more about your child when they're having fun and just opening up and don't really realize that you're getting in there. You're really getting inside there. You learn so much about them, and you can be a more effective parent, and you can make them a more effective adult as they grow up.
So give us one last tip for the new year for parents.
Well, I really would take the gift idea and do that, because you are instilling a charitable side to them, and you are validating their feelings by allowing them to choose the right gift.
Thank you, Mama Deb, and you're going to be with us for some time now.
Yes,
Mama Deb's going to be coming with us and giving us tips periodically to help parents, grandparents, and to help us grow and be better at working and playing with our kids. Just ahead on Power Your Life, it's 50 is the new 50. We talk about embracing middle age and maximizing our life. Stay with us. Turning the big 5-0 isn't easy for many people, but it doesn't have to be a negative turning point in your life. There are benefits to middle age, and it's important to embrace them. Joining me now to discuss the benefits of aging gracefully is Beth Portolese, founder of 50isthenewfifty.com. Beth, I'm so glad to have you.
Well, thank you for having me on your show.
It's my pleasure. Now, you have a background in many industries and in working with human resources for many different companies,
Right.
and yet you decided one day to form this website. So what was the stimulant behind that?
Well, when I turned 50, a lot of my
don't
friends...
look at
well, thank
whatever
you.
that means, right?
But this is what 50 looks like.
Right.
When I turned 50, a lot of my friends were trying to make me feel better and saying, oh, 50's the new 30, 50's the new 20, if they really wanted to be kind. And I was like, no, 50 is the new 50. It's what it is, and that's okay. 50 is a good thing. It's not 30, thank God, anymore.
Really? Who wants to go backwards?
I
Sometimes
know.
people think, oh, I wish I was in my 20s again. Never. I don't want to go back there. There was some challenging time. We have challenges now, but
Right.
forget those. We were beyond them. So tell us more about this online website, because there's so much to it, and it's not just for women who've reached 50.
No.
It's for women in their 40s, in their 30s, even in their 60s, right?
Yes, 40 and above, I would say the target audience is. However, there's information for everybody on it.
And men too?
Men too,
Oh,
yes,
good.
they may read it too.
Good.
Yeah, we have articles on every aspect of the aging process, whether it's looking your best at this age, you know, finding yourself at this age. I mean, this demographic, I think, is underserved because, you know, this is the time in your life where you have time. Maybe your kids have grown and, you know, they're out of the house, so you have extra time to concentrate on what you want to do. Or if you've never had kids, you've always had that time, and now, you know, maybe with your work, you have, you know, the time to do whatever you want to do. So advertisers should really look at our demographic a little more.
That's a plug for this online magazine.
Yes.
Also, and website, really, there are articles about relationships, health, fitness,
Right.
because I certainly spend some time on, and it's wonderful. So who contributes to the magazine?
Well, we have actually a bunch of different writers. We have health writers. I'd say there's probably between 5 and 10 writers that write for us frequently. Actually, my brother writes a lot of articles. I write articles, so
And
it's a
I'm going to
variety.
write one,
Yes,
right? We
you
talked
are.
about that, right? That's wonderful, thank you. So for people who are watching and for people who want to go online and take a look at the 50isthenewfifty.com, what is the inspiration that you have to offer them? What is the insight that you want to give them to actually go into the website?
Well, I think it's a good place to find out about every different aspect that relates to middle age, whether it's your health, you know, like I said, looking your best. A lot of things happen in middle age, like different health things and, you know, your ability to discover more about yourself and be more accepting of yourself. So there's articles about every aspect that I think would be helpful to people.
What's one article that you've written that's on the website?
Well, I write an article about called "What's Bugging Me," and
What's bugging you?
Yes, little things that I see in the media and stuff that I do riffs on. We try. One of the things in the website is to try and look at the humorous side of aging, and this kind of goes along with that.
And you know, that's so important. We have to have humor in our lives. It keeps us young, and if we can't laugh at ourselves and at what we're doing and take it lightly,
Right.
rather than, oh my God, I'm turning 50 or 55 or whatever, and life is over.
Right.
So I think what your website does is it gives people, women and men, an opportunity to say, this is a beginning in so many different ways.
Right. Absolutely. It's not over at all. It is just beginning, and I think if you go on our site, you'll see that. There's
That's
a lot
great.
of opportunities on
That's
it.
wonderful. So is there one article that stands out right now for 2014 to kind of encourage people to go to the site that you can think of?
You know, this is the time of year where people like to travel to a warmer place.
Right.
And we have a couple of good articles coming up on Aruba and every aspect
I've
of
been there.
Aruba and what to see. We have, a good majority of the runners in the New York City Marathon were over the age of 50. So we have an article that's coming up about people that, if you still want to exercise hard, how you can continue to do that and, avoid injury. So
that's important, because
Yes.
sometimes people are so gung-ho to do that they're forgetting that they also need to make sure that they're wearing proper shoes and taking care of their bodies and hydrating and doing all that good stuff to keep them healthy.
Yeah, I don't think you have to slow down exercise-wise. You just maybe have to take a different tact.
Right, and there's so much research that says no matter what age you're at, once you keep or incorporate exercise in your life, you can actually help with your brain, you can live longer, and you can feel better, and you can look better too, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. It's been a
thank you.
pleasure. And you've traveled from New York City, so that was just a fortune for us. Really, we were really fortunate to have you today.
Oh, well, it was a great trip down.
Great. So 50isthenewfifty.com, is that correct?
Yes.
Go to 50isthenewfifty.com, because again, there are so many opportunities to really find out more about you and to help you feel good about yourself and help you feel good about your life and about what you're going to be doing in 2014. Stay with us. Power Your Life. We'll be right back. That's it for us tonight on Power Your Life. Tune in next week for our show on bullying with Dr. Sidney Cohn and Joelle Good. Remember that you have the power to power your dreams and power your life.